Hello students, we're going to go over section 3.2, understanding relations and functions. So the first thing I want to go through is just ways in which we can describe our x values. So when we talk about x values, all right, so we talked about a coordinate pair, so our x values and y values. We talked about an ordered pair, which is a parenthesis, which x goes first and then our y value. So we can talk about it in terms of a graph. And in many different ways. Today what we're going to talk about is x values are going to be our domain and our range. When we write down our domain and range, we're just going to look and say, okay, what are our x values, what are our y values? And then describe it. The next thing we're going to talk about is a relation. So a relation is just a list of x values and y values. So it could just be like this: 2, 1, 3, 5, 3, 5, 6, and 8. That right there is a relation. It's just listing x and y values. Then we're going to describe it as a function. So a function is right here, is a type of relation which only one output, okay, one output value for each input value. Okay, so when we talk about it, this is your input, and our y values are our output. So what it's saying is each x value has only one y value. Well, basically another way of putting it is, do I have any x values that repeat themselves? And if I do, then we'd say it's not a function. So we're going to go down here, and we're going to describe our domain and range. So our domain is our x values, so we're just going to make a list. So I come here, my domain is my x values. My x values are 40, 45, and 50. My range then is my y values. So I'd have 2, 3, and 4. Typically, we're going to put them in numerical order from least to greatest. That's how you see it. So that right there is a listing of our domain and range. The next thing we can do is draw a mapping diagram. A mapping diagram is just drawing a line. 4 and 2, see how these two match up? So I just draw a line. 45 and 3, 50 and 4. And so the last thing is this a function? Well, if you look at it, none of these values repeat themselves, or none of these values have two lines going from it, so this would be a function. Go to the next one. Again, I'm going to list my domain. If you're not sure what your x value is usually going to be on the left-hand side, and range will be on the right-hand side. Or when we talk about it, our gas, okay, how much money I put into my tank, that's what we call independent. I could put as much gas as I want. What is dependent upon it is our distance. So my domain would be my x values. So in this case, it'd be 10, 16, 17, and 20. And my distance, my range, I should say my range is the distance. So it's 150. Now notice, I have these two numbers repeat itself. So when I write it in the range, I don't repeat it. I just write it one time, and then 300. And then again, I draw a line. So I'm going to do my mapping diagram. 10 goes with 150. 16 goes with 240. 17 goes with 240. And then 20 goes with 300. Again, if I look at it, none of these values repeat themselves. They're all different values. So I'd say, yes, this is a function. Or you could also look at your line. You don't have two lines, like I don't have another line coming from that. So this would be, yes, it would be a function as we go through it. So then, again, we go to it. We list them out. Okay, so I'd say my domain is the books, number of books sold, so 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then the cost, how much the price of it is 4, 6, 7, and 9. Then I draw a mapping diagram. And again, this would be a function because I have no domain values. I don't have none of these values, 2, 3, 4, 5, repeat themselves. Last one, or actually we got two more to go through. Just want to point out this one. Okay, our domain. Okay, so the time, how long I work out for. Okay, the calories burned, it depends upon how long I work out for. So we come through here, we'd say 20, 30, 35, and 60. And then if I look at this, again, I have repeated values. 85 repeats itself. So I'm only going to list it one time. And then 100. And then when I draw my lines, so it looks something like that. And again, none of my domain values repeat themselves. So this would be a function. So I want you to go through on your piece of paper. I want you to write down this ordered pair, 2, 3, 4, negative 1, 3, 5, 2, 6, negative 2, 5. So I'm going to state my domain. My domain is my x values. So my domain would be 2, 4, 3, 2. 2 repeats itself, so I'm not going to list it, and negative 2. So I'm going to put it in numerical order. So negative 2, and then I had 2. I had 2 2s, but I'm not going to list them. And then I had 3 and 4. Then I have a range. So my range would be 3, negative 1, 5, 6, and then 5. 5 repeats itself, so I'm not going to list it. So it's negative 1, then 3, then 5, and 6. So now I'm going to make it a mapping diagram. I'm going to draw lines. So negative 2, if I look at negative 2, right there goes with 5. So negative 2 to 5. And then I have 2. 2 goes with 3, so 2 to 3. 2 also goes right here, so I have 2 here. 2 goes with 3, and 2 also goes with 6. Then I have 4 goes with negative 1. And then I have 3 goes with 5. And there's your mapping diagram. So again, if you look at this 2, see how it repeats itself? So this would not a function, because I have one x value right here. This x value has 2 y values. And if you look at it, see how it has 2 lines coming from it? So it's not a function. It's okay if the range has 2, but the domain can't. So back to our notes. The next thing we're going to do is vertical line test. So vertical line, we're just going to draw a line through each point. And if I look at my vertical lines, okay, is there any vertical line that hits 2 values at the same time? If I look at this, right here, this line hits 2 values. So this means it's not a function. So if anytime I draw a vertical line and it hits my graph twice, or it hits 2 points twice, then it would not be a function. So if I come through here, I draw my lines, and you can go all the way through. I can look and I can see that it's not hitting 2 points. So this would be a function. Now we have a graph, so I just draw vertical lines. So I just go through, and if I were to draw a bunch of vertical lines, okay, would any vertical line hit this graph twice? And the answer is no, it only hits once. It's hitting here, 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 here. So it keeps hitting, okay, but it's only hitting it once. So this would be a function. And if I go down to this one, I draw vertical line, vertical line, vertical line, vertical line. What I'm noticing is that it's hitting once, twice, once, twice, once. All these vertical lines are hitting twice. So all it takes is if just one vertical line does it. So what we'd say, this is not a function. And so that's going to be your lesson for today. So when you go and look at it, remember your domain is your x values, your range is your y values. You're going to do a mapping diagram where you draw a line going from each one, and a vertical line test. So if I draw a vertical line, if just one vertical line hits 2 points or hits the graph twice or more than once, then it is not